Russia on 21st November 2024 used its intermediate-range ballistic missile Oreshnik against designated targets in Ukraine. The missile was equipped with supersonic non-nuclear charge. According to Russian Ministry of Defense, the use of a nuclear missile, though with non-nuclear warhead, was in response to the use of US ATACMS and British long-range Storm Shadow cruise missile against facilities on the territory of the Russian Federation. The Russian attack on the Ukraine may not have been with a nuclear warhead, but the very intensity of the attack sent shockwaves in Ukraine and the West. Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, after the attack said the missile was not nuclear but produced a temperature of 4000 degrees centigrade that could melt literally anything, including the steel or aluminium. The use of nuclear IRBM, however, with the non-nuclear 6 MIRV warheads, was a clear message to the Ukraine, NATO, US and the Europe. According to various reports, the missile was launched from Astrakhan Oblast, likely the Kapustin Yar training ground. The visuals of the fall of multiple independent target re-entry vehicle payloads suggest that the strike have not involved explosives but was a potential political message by Russia to Ukraine and to the West. Before we talk about what does this political messaging mean for the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war amid the taking over of Donald Trump as President of USA on 20th January. Trump had promised that he will stop the war within first 24 hours after taking over the charge of the administration. Trump, during election campaign, vociferously talked to achieve peace through strength. Was Russia's response drive to showcase strength? Russian military showcased restraint in not using any kind of nuclear weapon or explosive, though the very impact of missiles MIRVs caused meteorite-like impact. The missile's MIRV payload distinguishes it from other nuclear-capable missiles used against Ukraine, making it exceptionally challenging to intercept. Oreshnik missile traveled through the upper atmosphere undetected by Ukraine's air defense system. Capability of the missile renders interception effectively impossible. According to media reports citing eyewitnesses' account, the prolonged explosion lasted up to 3 hours. The attack on 22nd November was part of the total 30 air and drone strikes by Russia during 16th to 22nd November offensive. Defense Ministry of Russia in a press statement said, quote, "The purpose of the launch was achieved. All warheads reached the designated targets on a Ukrainian defense industry facility in Dnipropetrovsk. Moreover, Russian units hit temporary deployment areas of Ukrainian armed nationalist and foreign mercenaries formations." Russian MOD said that the use of medium-range nuclear missile with supersonic non-nuclear warhead was in response to the use of US and British long-range weapons against facilities on the territory of the Russian Federation. With top speed exceeding Mach 10, Oreshnik is hypersonic, maneuverable and impossible to intercept using current air defense systems, according to Putin. Ukrainian military intelligence reported that the missile covered 800 kilometers to Dnipro in just 15 minutes, achieving a terminal speed of over Mach 11. The missile is equipped with 6 warheads, each reportedly containing submunitions. Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh had identified the Oreshnik as a variant of the RS-26 True-based IRBM. The missile was employed in an attack on Ukraine's PA-Vivdenmast facility in Dnipro, capable of being ground-launched from a transporter reactor launcher. The Oreshnik is thought to have come from the Kapustin Yar training ground in Astrakhan Oblast, a distance of 510 miles between launch site and the target. Normally, ballistic missiles travel in an arc from their launch point into space and then down through the atmosphere onto the target. Hypersonic weapons are different. In 2018, the Russian claimed that they have developed a hypersonic glide vehicle called Avangard, which they described as a gliding block. The sort of missile would be launched ballistically upwards, but then release the glide vehicle, which would skim the atmosphere on the edge of the space. It can make turns to avoid high-altitude interceptor missiles. It's believed a version of the Avangard system can be carried on the RS-26 missile, which Oreshnik has developed from. In the videos of the missile strike in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro, you can see the missile has released 6 submunitions, which then released 6 smaller submunitions. A total of 36 separate impacts are the result. The munitions can be seen lighting up the clouds as they streak down. They also appear to be glowing, possibly from the heat of atmosphere entry, which would have taken less than half a minute to reach the ground from space. It is possible these munitions contained no explosive and were pure kinetic energy weapons. The energy delivered by projectiles traveling at Mach 10 or 7,000 miles per hour would be very high. The target was the PA Pipdinmash factory in Dnipro. It makes rocket motors and other space technology products. Dnipro, known previously as Dnipropetrovsk, was the center of the Soviet Cold War ballistic missile production and was nicknamed Rocket City. The Ukrainians are unlikely to reveal how much damage was caused to the target factory. It's possible it was not even hit at all. Mr. Putin stated it was a combined weapon strike, explaining the explosions caught on security cameras through the Oreshnik strike, which is possibly the arrival of Kinzhal or Kh-101 missiles. Western military analysts are continuing to study missile flight characteristics and target effects to find ways to counter this system in future. For the Russians, the attack demonstrated a response to the Ukrainian use of ATACMS and Storm Shadow missiles. It also provided an opportunity to test their latest missile system in combat. Some 80% of the missiles fired by Russia have been intercepted by Ukraine, an extraordinary figure. But these fastest speeds of ballistic missiles are intended to try to bring that percentage down. Oreshnik is likely a new generation of Russian intermediate range missile, potentially expanding to 5,000 km, but not intercontinental. This simply means this could put almost the whole of Europe within range, but not the US. The missile could also destroy well-protected bunkers at great depths without using a nuclear warhead. Though the West sat on Ukraine's request for authorizing long-range attacks using weapons supplied by it for several months, the restriction was lifted on November 17th by the outgoing US President Joe Biden. The UK and France also approved long-range strikes using their respective missiles supplied to Kyiv. The West did not give go-ahead to the use of ATACMS and Storm Shadow missiles, fearing this could escalate war. The move, in fact, triggered a fierce response from Russia just 4 days later on 22nd November. Use of Western-made weapons in strike on Russian territory indicates that the West is directly involved in the crisis in Ukraine. Putin stated that after the Oreshnik missile was used, that Russia was assaulted twice with ATACMS missiles and that Russia would retaliate for the aggression. According to Russian MOD, in response to Kyiv's attack deep within Russian territory, the Russian armed forces launched 100 missiles and 466 Garand-2 drones in recent years, striking 17 important Ukrainian military-industrial targets. So the escalation came just before the taking over of Donald Trump. Ukraine had argued that not being allowed to use the weapons inside Russia was like being asked to fight with one hand tied behind its back. The change in policy reportedly came in response to the recent arrival of the North Korea troops to support Russia in Kursk region, where Ukraine has occupied territories since August. Also, Donald Trump's imminent return to the White House is raising fears over the future of US support to Ukraine, and the President Biden is apparently keen to do all he can help in the little time he has left in office. Strengthening Ukraine's hand militarily, so the thinking goes, could grant Ukraine leverage in any peace talks that may be ahead. Thanks for watching National Defense. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.